This is Coach Mo, and I am here to help you along your journey. I am coming to you live on Wednesdays to help you along your journey of life. I don't know about you, but today was one of those days where I was caught up in some of the headlines. I've been off and on Facebook. I don't need to get onto social media. I want to stay away to, wonder what's happening. Uh, Tonight, I want to talk about what I see in my clients, the women who really lean in and get their journey really going, and what's unique about them. Maybe not about them, but what's unique that they bring to the table that allows them to have greater success. And I could literally talk about this for days and days on end. And maybe sometimes people listen to my podcast and think that that's what I'm doing. I get passionate about my journey and your journey. I get passionate about how we as human beings have this soul part of ourselves. It's actually not even a part, it's the soul self. And how, if we don't know how to tap into her, that we are really missing the beautiful essence of life. And I've gotten lost many times in my life. I've gotten into hustle, work hard, prove myself, get stuff done, show up the way I'm supposed to show up. I've caught up in all of that. As a matter of fact, doing this work, being in the online coaching business, sometimes I can get into like, what do I have to say and what way do I have to say it in order for people to pay attention, to listen, or to grab a hold of what I want to help you with. If you're live with me right now, put in the chat something you're proud of. Perhaps it's been this month, perhaps it's been this year, but put something that you're proud of that's relatively recently, that when you put it in the chat, you're going to maybe feel a little smile come across you. One of the things I'm very proud of that I've done over the last couple of months is I took a big amount of time off. And I will say this, I needed it. I needed to have a greater space to expand and greater space to find out where I was at this stage of my journey, having lost both of my parents, my mom 2 years ago, and having some other pretty significant deaths in the family. And my book coming out, follow me on my email, and you will get a little chance to do something. I think we're going to send out our first chance to pre-order Saturday. So today is July 15th. If you're watching me live, my book technically releases September 15th. I will be sharing a lot of information about what we're going to do to celebrate how the Soul Code book can really help you in your journey. But I want to really lean into what I see in my clients over and over again. And I hope that you can relate. And if you can put relate in the chat so I know that you're here and I know that what I'm sharing is helping you in your journey. One of the things that starts a coaching relationship is that someone is not where they want to be, and it hurts a little bit more than they want it to. I've been there. I started my first coaching relationship in the year 2000. I got breast cancer in 2008. And I took myself into a deeper transformation with my breast cancer journey, basically because I had to. If you're a busy executive and you find yourself sitting on your couch in your living room with drainage tubes and stitches all over, you can't do much, hardly even the energy to watch TV or to read. And I found myself really going inward, an inward mental journey, an inward spiritual journey. And I have been on a spiritual journey since I was in college. I went to a Catholic college, and I was introduced to a lot of the Catholic concepts and philosophies and dogma most of my life. But when I got to college, I started expanding that a little bit and thinking more for myself. And I was really curious. Why do some people seem to excel in life and others not so much? Well, there's been lots of studies on this since then. I am nearly 45 years into my spiritual personal development journey. And one of the things I see in my clients is when they show up in pain, discomfort, life's not going quite the right way, or perhaps they've recently had a disease, a divorce, any type of other disruption in their lives. Sometimes it's a death of a loved one, family member, parent, sometimes a child. Those are reckoning moments. And those reckoning moments bring us either inward so that we can dive deeper into our purpose and into what life is really supposed to be for us. We don't love those supposed to be and should words, but every now and then they're handy. And when we dive in deeper, we may see at first blush some things that we don't really like. It's not fun going inside and seeing things that you have bought into because you've heard them so often. One of the things I heard so often is that I was too much, too bossy, too much in charge. Now, as a middle child, I'm thinking, how did I get to be bossy? I'm a middle child. Middle children usually go along with whatever has to happen. But why I found myself being more expressive than maybe some others thought that I should be is because I was always interested in pushing my limits. And my mother would tell you the same thing. The first tricycle I got was one of those big wheels, and I rode it as fast as I could pedal on the streets. And sometimes that would cause me to sort of like wipe out, tip over, etc. Pushing things sometimes can get us a little bit in trouble because we might go beyond our limits, our idea of self, or what we actually know how to control. And this is one of the things that keeps human beings away from their personal interior journey. And most women who first come to me for coaching have an inclination that something's not right on the inside, but the pain is caused by something on the outside. And what my clients now know is that's a tap on the shoulder from their guardian angel to say, hey, this isn't quite working out the way that you've assembled things. It's time to go on an excavation mission and find your truth. I like to call that interior truth your soul, because your soul is where everything is going on and everything can come together. At your soul level, this energetic being, the being of the human being, is knit and intertwined in the matrix of the universe. We each have an absolute connection to the infinite field, to the energy of heaven, to our source, to creator, to God. We are one with that matrix, that energy. We are one. We are in it and with it, and it is in us and with us. And this has been a concept that many religions have tousled over. And I know from a little bit of the Catholic Church history, the Catholic Church has had massive summits on this idea, trying to figure out where the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, where do all those pieces go, trying to decode Jesus's words and some of the other uh, Bible verses and apostles and what were they really talking about. If you look through the superficial words, if you look through any spiritual text that has been around for greater than, let's just say, 1,000 years, I think that might cover most of the ancient sort of high vibing texts, not some of the newer. Anyway, uh, if you look through the words on deep spiritual, highly truthful, high vibing, high energy, religious writings, there is a theme that comes out over and over and over. And we don't need religion to tell us this. We need our soul to be tuned in to understand this, and that is that the best parts of us are the parts and the pieces and the identity that is wrapped into love. The energy of love is the energy of heaven. It is the energy of creation. It is the energy of the mitochondria doing their thing in your cells. It is the vibration of truth. It is the vibration of power and courage, all wrapped into this oneness. And if I'm getting a little bit too deep for you, I want you to hang with me because your life is deep. Your life is worthy of taking a deeper look into it because all of us have things that we have agreed with that have hurt, that we have agreed with that have caused us some pain or some separation. And what my clients know to be true is that those are the exact places that the soul wants to help heal. And a little apology for all the therapists and psychiatrists and psychologists out there. There's plenty of work for all of that. The truth is, when you find your soul being self in there, when you begin a relationship with her, a lot of the wounds are going to gradually melt away. Not through consciously unpacking and analyzing. That actually gives more energy to the wound. There's a time and a place for analyzing and unpacking, and I don't know too many times and places where that actually has been helpful. Please feel free to comment below if this is too controversial for you. What I'm saying to you now is this. Inside of you, there is a domain of soul energy that is the domain of love, the domain of heaven, the domain of creation, of divinity. And what I like to say is that we as human beings are now in the age of artificial intelligence, where we can tap into millions and millions of computer databases and information, and we can create a beautiful document or a piece of art or something gorgeous that we asked for and requested, but that was able to be done better because of the quantum computing available. And this is exactly what divine intelligence is. We say to divine intelligence, hey, I'm hurting here. I didn't get the promotion. I feel bad about myself. I know I'm doing good work, but I don't get it. Why am I not being picked? What's going on here? And in your soul's truth, you will find some areas that you have neglected or forgotten about. They're still there. Like the Wizard of Oz slogan that I'm going to use a lot with my Soul Code book. You had the power all along. But you see what happens to us as human beings. We think we have to have this long ass road to Oz and collect all of these characters along the way in order to find it. And we actually have it within. But most human beings, and this is where my clients are very consistent with each other, find the journey inside to be scarier than almost anything they've done on the outside. It's easy to criticize or judge or analyze a situation. It's hard to get somewhere with that because there is another thing that my clients know to be true. Their personal growth, their freedom, their understanding and responsibility of who they are and how they are in the world is only up to them. There is no boss who's going to make your career. There's no relationship that's going to make you feel better about yourself. There's no external event that's going to bring you internal joy. And I have the opportunity of having worked with thousands of women on these factors and more in order to help them with their careers, in order to help women ascend in leadership, in order to help women make more money, to have a better relationship with a partner that's pretty darn good, or to make the strong, powerful decision that that relationship is not pretty darn good and you need to exit. And just to make powerful decisions as a human being means that you have to know who you are, where your power is, and you must take personal responsibility. As a young girl, Many of us were raised with fairy tales of Snow White and Cinderella, having this subconscious, ah, like haunting feeling that someone was going to save us, that someone was going to come stronger and mightier than us and make our life easier. No, because you are a universe in and of yourself, and you require you to get that universe rotating correctly. It's up to you. You have to go inside. And I am telling you, there are treasures in there that are exactly the same as the treasures in heaven. We've been told this for thousands and thousands of years in almost every religious book, that the answer is found in being a loving presence on the earth. There is, however, a trap door. And this trap door is going to get you. It's almost like the universe was designed with a little bit of gotcha system going on to keep us sharp, to keep us on our toes, to make sure we don't get too lazy, complacent. I'm not sure exactly why. This will be a question I will go to my grave wondering. The trap door is this: the lessons never end, and you will never stop being put toward your growth. So many of my clients are sort of like, well, when does this stop? When I land my new job, is that when it stops? When I get to my dream salary, is that when it stops? When I get the promotion, is that when it stops? When I feel like my husband and family are melding together and doing cool stuff, is that when it stops? How about when I finally take that vacation I've been putting off because I was afraid to leave work for a week? Is that when it stops? No, my dear, it does not stop. It stops about 5 seconds before you take your final breath. Because having held many people's hands at the moment of their last breath, I can assure you that it is in that final minute that you have your last spurt of challenge, and that is to let go. And that is to allow your soul to ascend out of its body case and to return to its pure, perfect form of energy. I've watched both of my parents die. I've watched aunts and uncles live long lives and die. I've witnessed many patients as a young nurse having their last breath and having that grimace of trying to stay here automatically turn to this peaceful look and then the last breath. And I'm saying it this way not to scare you that you're going to die someday, so you better get your shit together. We are all part of this oneness. We are all in our beingness, this loving self, this soul self, connected and one with the divine and the divine with us. When we get that equation rolling in our lives, when we do the things that we must do to stay fit at the soul level, we become more attuned to our truth, our power, authenticity, our voice. We've become better decision makers. We become better leaders. We become better parents, better daughters, better sisters, better neighbors. All of the roles we have get better. And just when it's like, that's what it feels like, something else is going to happen. And you're going to be like, okay. So here's the one big truth about this spiritual journey and how, as human beings, you really can't avoid your spiritual journey. If you do avoid it, you're likely participating in very negative psychological behaviors, very negative coping mechanisms, maybe hanging out with a bunch of complainers and gossipers. That's what happens when you're not growing and evolving as a lovely human. You're sort of in the downward side of human beings. And so when you choose your spiritual journey, you will continue to arrive at milestones of your soul's health and prosperity and abundance and loveliness that you're then going to be asked to take it up a notch. Climb this part of the hill, climb that part of the hill. And there are certain things involved in the climb: self responsibility, as I've mentioned, having the courage to look within, as I've mentioned, and being willing to change. As you do that, there is one word that starts with an F. It's not a four-letter word. It starts with an F. And you're going to feel sometimes that this is a word that has as much volatility as the four-letter word. And that word is forgiveness. And this is one of those threads of truth that my clients know inside and out. On the journey of being your best version of your soul self, you must participate actively in forgiveness. You see, the truth is that we've all been hurt by other people. We've all been manipulated, hoodwinked, lied to, stolen from, hurt, injured. I was playing softball in college, and one of the girls on the other team intentionally tripped me while I was running the bases at full speed trying to get an inside the park home run. My knee had irreparable damage for the rest of my life. And I know she didn't mean it. I was a very unhappy person with that person. I was hobbled and couldn't play sports for months. And as I even recall the situation right now, it feels a little bit lighter, but there's always another layer of forgiveness that I'm being called to. Sometimes we do things unintentionally that have deep hurts for other people. I'm sure I have done things. I'd like to remember them so that I can heal some of those wounds as well. But the only wounds you can heal are the wounds in you. When I hated that woman who tripped me, the wound was in me. Yes, my knee. But the spiritual wound was what I was carrying. And this is where forgiveness is so important. If you don't forgive yourself for being imperfect, for making mistakes, for making decisions that later turn out to be like, what was I thinking? You must dive into forgiving yourself first. And then you're going to find yourself wanting to forgive others because the freedom of your soul that comes from forgiveness is just such a light and wonderful feeling. When you carry negative emotions inside of you, you're literally carrying denser molecules in your body. There's been studies on this. Literally, negative emotions carry different molecular structures. They're denser and heavier than the molecules of positivity and the neurotransmitters that are for positive feelings. I can't cite the research study, but I'm sure if you Google it or chat it, you can come up with some of the information on that. Negative emotions carry heaviness physically, spiritually. They pull us away from our power. And when we haven't forgiven ourselves, we're going to act upon people through the lens of that hurt. If we don't forgive others, we're going to act upon that lens of protection and feeling that everyone is out to hurt us. As we might look at the landscape of our political situation in this country or even in the world, we still see an eye for an eye, causing deep separation, hatred, untrusting actions and words, and corruption that is beyond the imagination. These are all situations where human beings have pulled themselves away from their soul and are using retribution, anger, revenge, and rage to go after someone out there to try to repair the wound in here. And if you look at a few just human examples, that equation never works. The equation that does work is to go inside, get into stillness, reflect, and forgive. That's called radical responsibility. That's the path to love. That's the path to your soul. I'm talking about it like it's easy. It isn't easy. It is simple and it's able to be figured out piece by piece, but it is not an easy process. It requires commitment and courage and consistency. The path to your soul, to your power, to your strength, to your best life ever takes courage, commitment, and consistency. And you know what? My clients know that. My clients who have been with me year after year, continuing to want guidance and seek someone who keeps seeing them at the next level, which is one of the draws of coaching. To see you at your higher next level is that draw of possibility. And when I wrote my book, The Soul Code, it was everything I've ever coached. And it actually contains another part to the book that I haven't really had the opportunity to coach on that many times. And that is, it ends with 17 different ways that you can use love, literally use it. I've coined my own word on this, and I won't reveal it until you read the book because it's kind of a cool word. And you're going to be like, oh my God, that's genius. 17 ways that you can use love in your life to do better for yourself and for others and by others. This is the life that is required in this now day and age. It was always part of the necessity of life to live a higher, soulful life, to be less in the doldrums and more in the idea of what's possible. Dale Carnegie teaches this in his How to Win Friends and Influence People. Napoleon Hill wrote about this, having an agreeable personality, in one of his key tenets of success. The Bible writes about it. I'm sure the Quran and the Torah do. I'm not as familiar with those texts. Everywhere human beings have looked for something better and greater than their own personal suffering. It is the journey to love, and it starts with the journey to love yourself. My clients know this. My clients get to the point of seeing themselves as lovable and loving and worthy and capable. And on the surface, you might think that most people are walking around with that expression internally and externally. Because if you just sort of live life, most people are kind of generous and appreciative and, hey, thank you, and you're welcome, and here you go, and all this. Inside, there's a lot going on in all of us. And so we are required to go in and make ourselves revealing and revealed at the soul level. I sometimes say make ourselves better, and that sometimes would indicate that we are worse if we're not doing that. And that may sound like a easy way to say it, but you're in there. Your soul is in there, and it wants to reveal itself to you. And it cannot reveal itself to you if you have it covered up in all of this muck that I just spoke about. My Soul Code book comes out in 2 months. I'm going to be sharing a pre-order link. I'm going to be sharing some snippets and a 30-day journal and some other things to share with you so that you can get your journey ready and you can move yourself toward a higher version of you by revealing your soul to yourself. And if you need guidance to do that or some frameworks, I'm the framework queen. I'll be providing some of that as well. I'll be live in probably 6 cities before the end of this year, talking about my book, being at other people's events, having my own events. I want to get the soul code in your hands so that you can unlock your soul code and be the version of you that you have always felt was in there, but you couldn't get to. I'm going to help you on your journey get to that because the soul code is a code. There's certain things that have to happen for you to unlock and open up your soul. And I'm so gratified that the 12 years I've been a coach since my executive career. I've had the privilege of helping over 2,000 women find the pieces to their soul, unlock their soul code. And every now and then with my grads, including just an hour earlier, one of my grads commented in our community Facebook page that she's done so much work, but she's still feeling like she's never going to get ahead. I said to her, you be on that call we have for coaching tomorrow night because I want to help you at the next stage of your journey. We are never complete until our last breath. We are never going to be fixed by someone else. And we are always in our glory when we begin to do our internal work, take responsibility, forgive, and be at that love energy of our Creator. That's your destiny. And it's an always step forward, always step forward, always step forward, always step forward. I'm going to talk more about this on my Substack lives. I may get into some of the leadership and executive coaching and teaching that I do as well, because that's the combination of what I've been helping my clients with. I used to do a lot more career and landing your dream job, and I'm doing more leadership, executive coaching, communication, the things that are really truly going to be elevating for human beings in the place of work, because this is where most of us deploy our gifts. And we receive compensation for it. And in order to have a nice life on this physical plane, it's pretty nice to have more compensation to do and be and have security and fun. That's how we pull it together. Please feel free to watch this again, take notes. I would love for you to share it and to comment below. Let me know what you're thinking and feeling. Is this resonating with you? Is there something you'd like me to dive in deeper to help you sort through your life and see where you can maybe make your journey a little bit better for yourself? I'd be happy to dive into some of those topics. This is Coach Mo, mofall.com/soul code live. Pre-order my book. See you at one of my live events. More on all of that later. Have a good evening, and we'll see you again. Please comment below, share, and join my Substack so you can have all of the goodies that I'm going to be sharing over the next several months into the new year. See you later.